Hi, everyone. Welcome to people live and who will watch it on the replay. Can you hear me properly? Can you type in the chat, please? Perfect. Thank you, Era. Hi. So today we are talking about mastering the art of comfortable conversations with native speakers in French. I'm gonna help you to create the tools to build your confidence and comfort in speaking French with native speakers. I'm gonna give you some practical tips and exercises. This training is for you if you are learning French as a second language, if you have been learning French, you are trying to speak it, but you don't feel comfortable enough yet. This training might not be for you if you can already speak 2, 3, or 4 languages. Tell us in the chat where you are joining from, why you are learning French, and what is your biggest fear when it comes to speaking the language with native speakers. Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Magali. I am French from France. I grew up there and I spent most of my life over there. When I was in high school, I really wanted to speak English. And the way we learn English at school in France was not very good at that time. So I decided to move to England and learn being immersed in the culture and the language with people surrounding me, speaking the language. But even though I spent 2 years there, I knew a lot of vocab, I knew a lot of tenses and everything, but I felt so embarrassed when English speakers were talking to me. I was just too scared. I was not comfortable, I was stressed out, I was anxious, and I was just kind of nodding and not making full sentences. And then I thought, this sucks. Like, I spent 2 years there and I still can't talk English with other people. So it made me think that learning and speaking a language is not just about the technical aspect of the language, but it's about mindset, self esteem, and confidence. Lane from Canada, New York City, Amber from Ontario. Hi, everyone. So, to be able to speak French when visiting friends in France and would like to travel to French speaking Caribbean islands. Perfect. Learning French so I can speak with my sister in law and travel to Europe. Perfect. That's great. So you can find me on Instagram at Daily French Lesson or on this YouTube channel if you want to see more of my work. And I want to talk to you about like why confidence is the key to speaking French with native speakers. Tell me in the chat how long you have been learning French for. And on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, and 10 being super confident, how confident do you feel when you talk to French speakers? 7, that's great. Awesome. Hi, Michelle. Yeah, 30 years and you feel like a 6. Yeah. And why do you think that is? Why are you not at, 10 or at least 9? So, why have you been learning French for years and you don't feel comfortable speaking it yet? So, school wasn't very conversational, it was grammar, rules mostly. Exactly. I feel like what's missing in language learning in general is how to build confidence in this new language. Because as an adult, we have all these fears and all these expectations as we are supposed to know everything. We can't make a mistake, or we'll be embarrassed if we don't know something. So we are already starting with like no confidence, right? So building your confidence is essential if you want to have conversations in French with people. You have to go past the fear to speak this second language as an adult. There are different fears you might face. Can you write them down in the chat? And then we're going to talk about the different fears and how you can kind of get rid of them and what to do to get rid of them. My program, one of them anyway, is getting lost in conversations when I have lots of information to communicate. I feel I lose my focus on the correct tense to use the deeper I get into convo. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's maybe not making the sentence easy enough so that you can follow what you're saying and not getting lost. Yeah. I feel confident speaking or starting a convo in French, but get nervous when I have to comprehend responses. Yeah. Mispronouncing a word or using the wrong word or wrong tense. Yeah. Perfect. So I'm gonna give you some fears and then the way I see it, like how you can kind of get past it. The fear of making mistakes is really big. But the way I see it is you're going to learn from it. So make your mistakes. Don't be scared of making mistakes. If your child or a child was making a mistake, I don't think you would be like, oh, you made a mistake. You suck. You would be like, that's okay. Try again. This is the way to say it. Try it again and again and again and again. Right? The fear of not understanding, how can you go around that? The fear of not understanding what people are responding to you or just saying to you. You can always ask people to repeat. It might be evident, but sometimes where you're in front of the person, you might be scared and be like, oh, I didn't understand. Can I even say that I didn't understand? Yes, you can. Just tell them you didn't understand, and they will repeat. The fear of not pronouncing properly, the fear of not responding properly, of not remembering a word, of not conjugating properly, the fear of making people making fun of you, people judging you, right? Are these the fears that you might have when you are trying to speak French? Can you tell me in the chat? And then my question is, are those fears based on a real situation? For example, Era, you were saying that you get nervous when you have to comprehend the responses. Like, how many times did this happen? Were you very confused? Did you give the wrong answer? Did the people kind of make fun of you? Or it maybe happened once and you corrected it right away? Yes, I fear being judged, but I'm used to it. Yeah. I am also scared to being judged right now, talking to you guys, because I'm scared that I will say the wrong thing. I'm scared that I'll make a mistake. I'm scared that I'm going to use the wrong grammar. But you know what? I'm just trying to communicate with you and helping you going past that. So, whatever. So, building your self confidence will help you to enjoy talking to French speakers. If you make a mistake, I see it as a learning opportunity, not a failure. You will remember your mistakes or the right way to say something easily than if you've memorized it. For example, a long time ago, I remember having a conversation with a friend, and I was saying that my back was hurting, and I said my spin, and my friend right away said, "Oh no, it's not spin, it's spine," because he knew what I was talking about. And since then, I remember how to pronounce spine. And this is silly because I'm not using this word every day, but because at this specific moment I made that mistake, somebody corrected me on the go, and I kind of gets like surprised that I said it I said it wrong. Now I remember it. So use your mistakes to learn from it, like to learn a better grammar, a better word, a better tense. Just use your mistakes. I realized it was built up anxieties I was placing on myself. Exactly. A lot of time we are, me first, but a lot of time we're thinking beforehand, we are creating those fears in our heads, and it's not even um, based on something that happened to us, right? We're just thinking, oh yeah, they're gonna make fun of us or me. They are gonna say that I don't speak well. They're gonna kind of laugh behind my back. But no, 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 no. Remember that the main point is to communicate. So if the person that you are talking to makes fun of you, then just don't talk to this person ever again. Like they're not good people. I want to talk about the importance of positive self-talk. Sometimes when I lead with the French, I get a response that is more sophisticated that I can understand. When they see the confusion on my face, they then pivot to English and I feel defeated. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to that in a bit. The importance of positive self talk. I want you to be your best cheerleader when speaking French. Before a conversation, I want you to stop or to start saying at least, I want you to stop saying, sorry, I suck at this. I can never understand. My pronunciation sucks. I can't even conjugate this in passé composé or understand this conditional verb. Whatever you are creating beforehand is what's gonna happen. So if you go into this conversation, a conversation starting like, oh yeah, no, my French sucks, like I'm sorry, I'm not good, then this is what it's gonna create. And the person you're gonna talk to might be like, oh yeah, yeah, they suck. Like they're not good, right? So think of it more like I'm doing my best. I'm learning every day. I'm getting better and better at it, and the people will understand me. And if there's anything, I can always ask them to repeat. Okay? Acknowledge every single positive step you are taking, the goal you achieve, and it will boost your self esteem around French learning. So, let's say you just managed to memorize how to conjugate that verb in whatever tense, and now you can use it properly, easily, and fast. Then congratulate yourself, be proud of yourself for remembering that. If you manage to hold a 2-minute conversation in French with somebody, it's amazing, like great, congrats, like be proud of yourself for that also. The more you do this, the more you will boost your self esteem and the more you will build your confidence around French speaking and learning. Learning a language can be very hard for people who did not grow up in bilingual families. So, yeah, just be your best cheerleader and remember and acknowledge every time you are making a huge step or even like a tiny step. Just I'm happy for you, even though I might not know you, or even though I don't know your French level. But it's awesome. Keep going. Okay. The importance of using what you know and making short sentences at first. If your goal at the moment, for what I've been reading in the comments, is that you want to learn and speak French during a trip with friends, maybe at work or like casually during a trip, you don't necessarily need to be talking about politics or medicine or like very complicated topics, right? So start speaking with the topics you can easily um, talk about. Introduce yourself, talk about your favorite books or movies, learn how to order at restaurant, learn how to use some expressions with your friends. Just go little by little. The easier you start, the better you will grow. Always make small goals, or like at least make smaller goals. It will be easier to achieve them, and it will motivate you to keep going. Tell me in the chats, are you more are you somebody who's gonna start creating like huge sentences and get lost in the middle? Or are you using very short sentences to make sure that you don't make a mistake in them? So when you make short and easy sentences, you are not gonna speak like a 2-year old. Okay? I promise you. It's not gonna sound like you just learned French. It's just gonna help you to not get lost in the middle of your sentence. And this is pretty helpful. I use short sentences and still make mistakes. Yeah. Sometimes, Era, sometimes. And where I create huge sentences and get lost in the middle, rather than thinking what I want to say in French, I try and translate it word for word in my head from English to French. Yep, this is the best way to get stuck and to not be able to actually say what you want to say. I try to keep it simple, but I have a large vocab in English and I try to have the same approach in French. Yeah. So, going back to Amber's comment, when you want to say something that's either long in your head in English or sophisticated, it works for both. Think of one like a shorter way to say it and an easier way to say it in English. Think about that. And then once you have it in English, like a shorter version and an easier version, then try to say it in French. When you get stuck in a sentence, I always tell my clients, okay, how can you say it differently in English? Like if you were to say it in English to someone who is not completely fluent in English, like how would you say this sentence in a more easy way? Think about it like this and then try to, if you have to translate in your head, then translate in your head. If you can do it without translating it, then that's perfect. I feel the same sentiment. Yeah. And yeah, translating word for word, that can help. It can definitely help. But you can also start yeah, making some mistakes. But if that helps at first, then I suggest that you can keep doing that. Short sentences, I try to make every question a yes or a no, so the response is easier for me to understand. Exactly, that's a great way to do it. I might have the French vocabulary, understand the French grammar, but I don't always understand how a Frenchie would structure a sentence. It seems impossible to know How a Frenchie would say it. Hmm. Well, I mean, if you already know the grammar, if you already know like the sentence structure, then just build it the way you learned it. And that's true. It doesn't always follow the English pattern. Yeah. But then say it as easily as you can. You know, pronoun, verb, pronoun, verb, and the object. And then see how you can make it a statement. So, in order to build your confidence, I suggest you to start practicing if you are not doing it yet. You have to find ways to practice, free ways, paid ways, but make sure you practice often. Practice every aspect of the language, the reading part, listening, speaking, and writing. But start practicing the one aspect that you need the most, depending on the goal. These are some free ways you can practice speaking or a conversation in front of a mirror. You can speak with friends. You can find activities you can do. You can talk with coworkers, with people at a store, find local or online communities, use some free apps. Tell me what ways you are using at the moment to improve your confidence and your conversation in French. You can also find some paid ways to practice speaking. You can hire a tutor, use some apps. You can travel or move to France if that's something you're interested in doing. You can join a French course. You can do some group learning, workshop. Um, Practicing will give you some feedback. It will tell you what you need to improve, what you need to learn next, what you need to fix. So don't be scared to like practice. This is where you're gonna learn the most. Do you have tips for retaining what we learn? It tends to go in one ear and out the other. Um, I guess it depends. What are you talking about? Specific vocabulary or maybe mini lessons? Um, what is it exactly? Because I would say that in order to retain what you are learning, it's helpful to use it more and more and more. So, for example, you just learned how to, I don't know, uh, okay, to order at a restaurant. You learn some vocab, some verbs, and some quick sentences. Then the best way to retain it will be to use it in actual context. But you can also practice. You can also, if you are somebody who likes to write, you can just write the sentences like again, again, and again. You can read them. You can record them on your phone and listen to them, like, before you go to bed, for example. You can find some different videos or movies or whatever that is about this topic, and you can listen to these resources like using the vocab that you are learning. So maybe find ways to immerse yourself in that kind of topic and see if you can retain it better. But everybody retains differently. If you're somebody who's more visual, then maybe write it somewhere and then have it like in front of your eyes almost every day. If you're somebody who will listen and retain it, then put it, before you go to sleep or every day or during your walk. And these are ways that you can remember that. Does it help? Private tutor, weekly in-person French course, speaking with French speaking taxi drivers, visiting local. Wow, that's great. That's great. You have to find ways to interact with native speakers in a relaxed way if you have the chance to do that. If you know what topic you will mostly talk about, you can maybe practice those topics in advance. You don't have to memorize the whole conversation, but you can try to speak to yourself about that topic or review the vocab, review the verbs that you want to use, review the sentence structure. You can also write it down. You can, yeah, practice in front of a mirror if this will help you to feel more comfortable talking about that specific thing. You can always tell people that you are still learning the language. So, you might not understand everything, but by letting them know that you are still learning the language, they might speak a little bit slowly, they might make sure that you understand, and they will maybe not switch to English right away. To go back to your comment, Lane, um, when they start speaking English to you, do you tell them that you would like to keep speaking French, or do you prefer to speak English because it's easier? If people speak to you in French, it doesn't mean that your French sucks. It does not. Sometimes I press on with French. Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. But do you see that they are annoyed because it might not be as, fluid as it would be in English? Sometimes I feel it would be easier for them to go to English. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So, for example, moments that people are switching to English in France. I'm talking to like about people in France. It can be because it's easier for everybody to say it in English, to communicate, to do it faster so you understand and then we move on. For example, if you are at a cashier and the cashier has too many things to do and people to take care of, then she might just switch to English because she has no time, or she or he has no time. So that could be a way to just communicate whatever you have to communicate. It's not because you couldn't say it in French, it's just they wanted to be done with it. It's also because French people love to practice their English if they are interested in improving their English. So if they see that you are an English speaker, and they might be like, "Oh, that's awesome! This is a good way to practice with that person," and then don't necessarily think that you are interested in chatting in French. So don't worry about that. It's not, it's not against you. It might be, but then these people might not be nice. um yeah, Paris people have less patience, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah, don't take it personally. And if, let's say, they are mean and they just want to show you that you can't speak French properly, then they're just you know jerks. Um, but it also shows that they might not speak another language as French. They can only speak French, and they don't know what it feels like to learn a different language. So in that case, you don't care about them and just find other people to speak to. If you don't understand something during a conversation or in the everyday life, just ask the person to repeat or to explain whatever they said or to say it differently. a lot of time I just ask people, can you, what is that word? I don't understand it. Can you say it differently? Or what does this word mean? I'm not sure I understand what you are asking me. And that's it. They just repeat it or say it differently. You can always repeat back what you thought you understood if needed. Oh, did you say that this? Did you ask me to do this? And then yes or no, and then they will say it again if you didn't understand. Make sure that you use the proper pronoun tu or vous. Know the cultural norms to make sure that you don't offend anyone. If you feel too stressed out, or if you are scared to miss out on something, then you can use translating apps. There is nothing wrong with that, so you don't get stuck, and then the conversation can keep going, or at least you are sure what is the person's telling you. You can also work on your pronunciation, right? To make sure that people understand what you are saying, at least that you are pronouncing properly. Make sure that you practice the nasal sounds, like a, on, yon, yan, tous, all these sounds, sorry. All these sounds are very like similar, and for English speakers, it might not be easy to pronounce, but make sure that you kind of work on that so that you don't mix up the sounds and say something different. Don't get frustrated if you can't understand everything. At first, I know it's a little bit annoying, but that's okay if you don't understand all the words that people are saying. As long as you understand the context, it's already a big win. And then you're gonna build on the vocabulary. How is everybody doing? Do you have any question, any comment, anything that I can help you with? Let me know. I agree that context is everything. It dictates what you need to say and when. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the more you will like practice certain topics and get more familiar with the way French people respond or their expressions, then the more you will understand maybe those little words that you might not have understood before. So it might be frustrating to not understand everything yet, but as long as you understand like the most important thing, like where you need to be, what you need to do, where you need to go. Okay, so I have some questions for you. What challenges are you facing learning or speaking French right now? Yeah, learning expressions and colloquial, I can't pronounce it, French is helpful too, not just cool book French. Exactly. And to learn that, I suggest you to, follow people on Instagram, but not just teaching French. You can follow people um, doing things that you enjoy in general. For example, you love people reviewing or showing you places to visit in Paris. I don't know. Then follow those people and read the description or the comments. Watch their reels. Immerse yourself in this kind of content. This is the best way to learn expressions, the way that people talk right now at this moment. Because there is the school book French, there is the formal French, but there is also the familiar, casual French that we are using right now, and it depends on the region you are in France. In the north of France, I mean, they are using different expressions that we might not understand in south of France, and vice versa. So this is the best way to learn a more familiar French. You can also find people on YouTube. Let's say you love cooking, then find cooking channels that are hosted by French people. Um, yeah, you can also follow people on X, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, whatever topic you want to learn more of or to discover more, then just find these people on social media. Have you had any negative comments about your French? And if yes, how did you react? Today, if you had to speak with French speakers, what is stopping you from speaking? What are you going to do differently in your next conversation? And what will you do to practice more often? So while you are typing, I want to quickly talk about my new group coaching course coming out, Boost Your Confidence in Speaking French. This will be an 8-week program. I'm gonna drop the link so you can check it out if you are interested. In this course, we'll work on the right mindset to have when you're learning and speaking French. I'll help you to gain confidence and be comfortable in a French speaking environment. You also get to practice speaking and learning in context. And for better results, you'll also get one on one calls with me to either practice or work on your next block or both. You can all you if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You can write in chat. And if you are interested in one-on-one coaching with me, you can also reach out to me on Dairy French Lesson on Instagram. So accent or pronunciation, I try to embrace my accent. Some say it's cute. Yeah. So for the accent and the pronunciation, I honestly, as a French speaker, I think that English speakers should really work on the nasal sounds that you don't have in English. But I hear a lot of people saying you have to pronounce the R properly. I don't really agree because every time I heard an English speaker speaking English, not pronouncing the R the way we do it, I could understand whatever they were saying. But when you guys don't pronounce the sound, um, um, uh, properly, this is where it gets confusing. So really work on those sounds and maybe don't focus too much on the R. But yeah, and it's really cute. Like listening to an English speaker speaking French, I love it personally. Hi, Simar. So, yeah, do you guys have any question, anything that I can help you with before we finish the call? Yeah, Era said, no one made fun of me. They were so kind and helped me. Of course, because the main goal is to communicate, and you are trying or speaking, but you are trying to speak a second language, so someone else's language, and they might not speak your language. So if the person you are talking to is mean to you, honestly, I mean, it just kills me because I'm like, you are trying to speak their language and you are making an effort in feeling embarrassed, in feeling not sure, and feeling everything. So, be proud of yourself. Like, don't give up. If someone looks at you in a weird way, then just, And honestly, I think in all these years where I was learning English, only one person laughed at my face because I said one word like the wrong way. Only one person. So, don't care about like it. They don't matter. I promise you, they don't matter. Just reading your comments. To get back to your comment about you don't always understand how a Frenchie would structure a sentence, and it seems impossible to know how a Frenchie would say it. Yeah, because I guess we like to shorten things or to not pronounce half of the word or to use slang in between. So I get that. But think about it in English. Sometimes, like, let's say young people or younger people, you might not understand the way they talk, right? I mean, when I hear teenagers in France, sometimes I'm like, what? Like, how do they talk? Like, this is not the way I talk or the words I would use because they are using slang. They are using verlan. I don't know if you guys know this, but in French, it's when you're saying it like the inverse way. Like, so I get that, but you can also ask people if you are comfortable asking, what is that word you used? Like, I've never heard that word. What is it? Is it an expression? Is it a new word that I don't know it? Like, tell me. Often I ask my friend in Toronto so many times, like, what is that word? Like, what does it mean? Oh, okay. Can you wait? When do you use it? What is the context? And then they explain to me, and now I remember. So this is something that you can do to memorize also some new vocabulary. Just asking people. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining, and thank you for those on the replay for watching it. And I will see you soon. Bye. Have a great day.